عليكم وفقا جليا.
Akwai mic saboda abokin ba sun koka ba sa ji. Akwai mic da muna using daga nan. Don sun ce ba ka ji yana noise was too much from the background. Da yana gada nan gaba abin da ya kamata a samu kenan.
Alhamdulillah, wassalatu wassalamu ala rasulillah wa ba'd. Ya ayyuhan nas taqu rabbakum alladhi khalaqakum min nafsin wahidah wa khalaqa minha zawjaha wa bassa minhuma rijalan kathiran wa nisaa wattaqullaha alladhi tasaaluna bihi wal arham inna Allaha kana alaykum raqiba. We want to welcome everyone to our fourth lecture in 2021 evening, jointly organized by Bureau for Islamic Education and Muslims professionals in Ghana Lagos chapter. The title of our lecture will be Nigerian Muslims and Economics Challenges Part 2. Our chairman for the occasion, inshallah, just to follow protocol, will be Abdullah Nekano. I don't know if you can have his say. We need to gain time. We are almost 20 something minutes behind schedule. And our host will be Madam Hussein in Hisense. Will be the host imam. In order to preach the protocol, he's going to help us with the opening dua and also introduce our guest lecturer, inshallah. Assalamu alaikum.
الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين آمين. اللهم صل على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما صليت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد. اللهم بارك على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما باركت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد. ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار. ربنا لا تزغ قلوبنا بعد إذ هديتنا وهب لنا من لدنك رحمة إنك أنت الوهاب. اللهم يا مقلب القلوب والأبصار ثبت قلوبنا على طاعتك وعلى دينك. اللهم آت نفوسنا تقواها وزكها أنت خير من زكاها أنت وليها ومولاها. اللهم كما جمعتنا في هذا البيت المبارك فاجمعنا يا رب العالمين في دار كرم في جنات النعيم إنك ولي ذلك والقادر عليه. سبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون وسلام على المرسلين والحمد لله رب العالمين.
Assalamu alaikum warahmatullah. The next on the agenda is opening remarks and the brief introduction of the guest lecturer and the theme of the lecture by the chairman of the occasion, inshallah.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. In the name of Allah, the most beneficent, the most merciful. May His peace and blessing be upon our noble Prophet, Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, his companion, members of his household, and all the peaceful servants of God who follow his footsteps to the end of time. As the MC clearly said, this is our fourth lecture, organized jointly by the Group for Islamic Education and Muslim professionals in Ghana. As you are all aware, we used to have these lectures regularly. We have the quarterly lectures that we used to have every quarter. We have the monthly lectures every month. Then we have the daily ta'lim. The aim is to brainstorm and make people understand everything about Islam, whether in terms of belief, in terms of worship, in terms of amal, so that because Islam is a religion of knowledge. Our theme for today's lecture is Nigerian Muslim and economic challenges, part 2. As you are all aware, we have had the part 1 during Ramadan. Now it's the part 2. And this topic is a very wide topic. Even at this part 2, I don't think we will take just everything about this. So probably we will have part 3, because we'll continue to do it so that people should understand it very well. For the introduction of the guest lecturer, our dear Professor Ahmed Ben-Nugarawa, who is Finance Director of the National Institute for Islamic Thoughts in ABU Zaria. I think I would like to hand over the mic to our house imam, who knows it better than I do, and will do justice to this. So I would like the house imam to introduce our guest lecturer, inshallah. Thank you very much for your coming and for your attention.
Alhamdulillah, Jazakumullah khairan for all coming. May Allah Azza wa Jal make us among those who listen to speech, which is going to be delivered our great shield, and do what I suppose, and also follow the best of it. My sheikh specifically, and our sheikh generally, is by then Sheikh Professor Ahmed Ben-Nugarawa. He was born in 24th of September 1970 at Dogarawa district in Sabongari local government area of Kaduna State. Our great sheikh holds BFIE in Business Administration from ABU Zaria and Masters in Banking and Finance in Bayero University, Kano. He holds Masters in Accounting and Finance from same prestigious institution of ABU Zaria, University Zaria, and Philosophy, PhD in Accounting and Finance from same institution of ABU Zaria. After his doctorate degree, his thirst for knowledge did not end there. Knowing fully well that education is very, very important, he decided to go into education line by a modern postgraduate diploma in education from St. Gino, prestigious institution of Ahmed Ben Zaria, University of Zaria. Currently, he is Deputy Dean, Business School of ABU Zaria, and he's also equally does head of Department Accounting of the same University of ABU Zaria, and Director of Finance, International Institute of Islamic Art, Nigeria Central or Central Nigeria. Sheikh Professor Ahmed Ben-Nugarawa has participated in Imams in Islamic Scholars course for Al-Azhar University in Cairo, the Arab Republic of Egypt. He is equally a member advisory committee of experts of Jais Bank PLC. He is the founding father of Legal Imams and Islamic Scholars and Jurists of Sahel Africa, which is headquartered in Algiers, that is in Algeria, North Africa. Sheikh Professor Dogoro has participated also in numerous conferences locally and abroad. He has authored more than 50 academic journals and papers, printed and yet to be printed, and of course more than 200 non-academic, non-professional, what I mean in the Islamic aspect, printed and also unprinted. He is happily married with 3 wives, alhamdulillah, just remaining for him to complete everything, and we pray Allah Azza wa Jal to continue to bless and protect him. So he is married with 3 wives and blessed with 13 children. You can see, apart from being, an Yoruba scholar, he is also a commander, in the social aspect. We know the hadith of the Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam, tazawwaju al-wudud al-wudud. He has practicalized that. May Allah is infinite mercy, bounty, and favor continue to bless and protect our Sheikh, and may we also make use of what he's going to tell us, because it's quite expensive knowledge, and take him back safely to his destination. I forgot to say something very much important about my Sheikh. Year 2000, 2001, 2002, thereabout, he served as the chief imam of Ruben Presi Central Mosque. And if you haven't forgotten, I said this on Monday, that it is from him I started learning Arabic formally. From him I started learning. I knew not Arabic before. I just had little knowledge. He was well-rounded. In fact, nothing except the academic qualification he got. But as far as Islamic knowledge is concerned, Sheikh remained grounded even when he was, in his period of adolescence. So Sheikh, worked there, and through him, a lot of people accepted Islam in Nigeria through AAIC. And when I was awarded scholarship, that was 20-something years before, by Al-Muntada UK, he personally wrote, the letter of recommendation, and I still have it in my bag. Jazakallah khairan. As I rightly said, he is a father and a mother. May we please listen carefully to what he's going to say and put it into practice. May Allah access us and may Allah.
For that beautiful citation and introduction. The next thing we have on the agenda is the actual lecture presentation by the guest lecturer, Abdullah Sheikh.
إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدًا عبده ورسوله أما بعد السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. We thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, who in His infinite mercy has made it possible for us to converge in this blessed Jumu'ah Mosque of Nurul Islam here in Ikoyi, Lagos State. Today is Sunday, 15th, or let me start by 6th, Al-Muharram, 1443 years after the Hijrah of our noble Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wa sallam, which is equivalent to 15th of August 2021. The title of my presentation is Nigerian Muslims and economic challenges. It is important to start by saying that, just like the chairman mentioned, this topic is a very, very wide one. And if we are to spend the whole day trying to talk about economic challenges of Nigerian Muslims, and indeed Muslims in general across the globe, we will not be able to finish. We won't be able to exhaust what is supposed to be said. But as we know, the objective of this kind or type of gathering is to sensitize ourselves and also remind ourselves some of the things we already know. There is nothing new that I'm going to say. We all know. We live with it, we live in it, we witness it, we saw it, and we have been seeing it, we are still seeing it. So, there is nothing new in this. However, I will, inshaAllah ta'ala, in the next 1 hour, try to highlight some of the challenges facing Nigerian Muslims. By way of introduction, I like to remind us that almost half of the world's population, that's about 3.4 billion, live on less than 3.2 US dollar per day. As it stands today, and according to some statistics, the world population is estimated at about 6.8 billion. And of this population, 50%, that is roughly 3.4 billion, is living on less than 3.2 US dollar. That is in lower and middle income countries. But I believe you will agree with me that in some lower income countries, many are living on less than even $1. Because a dollar being Nigerian exchange for more than 500 naira. And if you multiply 500 by 30 days, that will give you 15,000 naira. And I believe we know that in Nigeria, there are hundreds of thousands of people who don't earn up to 15,000 naira per month. Now, by that it means they earn or they live on less than $1 per day. In upper middle income countries, many people live under or live on less than 5.5 US dollars. While 24% of total global population is Muslim population, half of global poverty resides in Muslim world. As it is now, the population of Muslims is almost 2.2 billion. 2.2 billion. Sorry, 1.6 billion, not 2.2. 1.6 billion. That will give you roughly about 24% of 6.8 billion. With this number, half of it, or half of global poverty, resides in Muslim world. According to a World Bank's 2018 multidimensional poverty index report, which used education, health, and living standard indicators. Sub-Saharan Africa has the largest number of extreme poor who are living on less than 1.9 US dollar per day, followed by Middle East and North Africa. If you look at Sub-Saharan Africa, Nigeria belongs to it. Niger, Ghana, all belong to Sub-Saharan Africa. And Nigeria is the most populous country in the whole of Africa. And that is why it is called the Giant of Africa. In Niger, roughly 85 to 90% of Nigerians are Muslims. So even without further analysis, one will be able to understand the seriousness of these statistics. But if Sub-Saharan Africa has the largest number of extreme poor who are living on less than 1.9 US dollar per day, followed by Middle East. Middle East is almost 80 to 85% Muslims. And North Africa. North Africa is almost 95% Muslim. So put this together, you will understand that certainly it is true that Muslim world is the house, the home for global poverty. 85% of all multidimensionally poor people in the world live in Sub-Saharan Africa and South Asia. If you go to South Asia again, you find that a good number of them are also Muslim. So this means that not only in Nigeria, when you begin to look at incidents of poverty in Muslim world, in Muslim countries, among Muslims, you will see that truly, even though some of the statistics have their own problems, but there is a popular adage in Hausa that says, "Biri yayi kama da mutum," meaning monkey looks like man. So you will not be able to dismiss the statistics entirely. According to a document titled Nigeria, Current Issues and U.S. Policy, published by Congregational Research Service in 2020, Nigeria's population is 214 million with 2.5 growth rates. Roughly 102 million people live in extreme poverty, and according to a World Bank 2020 estimates, roughly half of the population in Nigeria is living on less than 1.9 US dollar per day. Roughly half of the population work in the informal labor force with sparse social safety nets, because we do not have effective social safety nets. Until recently, we are not used to, in Nigeria, transfers of funds in the name of palliative or assistance, until very recently. And even this one, if you look at it carefully, it's not being managed very well. Most of the people that are supposed to get the funds for this assistance and make use of them are not getting it. And in fact, it has even created a window for some people to selfishly and unjustifiably enrich themselves. whereby today, with the full knowledge of the authority, some people who have contacts with some of the banks that have been designated by government or by CBN to disburse these palliatives will use their contacts and meet individuals who are in need of this assistance and tell them, I will submit your name and details. Give me your BVN and I will be entitled to 80% or 60% of the disbursed amount. And this is what is happening now. Someone was telling me about 2 weeks ago that he received, or rather he was giving, I think about ₦1 million, but 200,000 naira went to the people that facilitated it, and then the contact himself, requested for 400,000 naira, which means the poor man, will be left with only 400,000 naira. Of course, for him it is okay. Perhaps this will be the first time in his life he will be receiving 400,000 naira. So he wouldn't have any cost. There will be no cost for alarm as far as he's concerned. Even those who work and retire because of ineffective social safety nets, they stay or wait for years before their entitlements are paid in most cases. So half of the population is facing the problem of sparse social safety nets, leaving them especially vulnerable. According to United Nations agencies, nearly 2.1 million Nigerians were internally displaced as of June 2020, meaning we have IDPs amounting to about 2.1 million, largely due to Boko Haram ISWAP conflicts, with an additional 300,000 living as refugees in Chad, Cameroon, and Niger. Based on 2018 demographic estimates for Nigeria, Muslims constitute 54%. And this is what a number of international organizations have documented, including the World Bank, some agencies of United Nations, and so on. They all agree that as far as statistics is concerned in Nigeria, or population estimate, demographic estimates are concerned in Nigeria, Muslims have at least 54%. Roman Catholic, 11%. Other Christian, 35%. Others who belong to neither Islam or Christianity, Christianity has 1%. Meaning, Muslims constitute 54% of the estimated 214 million people in Nigeria. Christians constitute 46%, and 1% goes to others who may be following traditional religion or who may not have anything to do with religion. History has it that Muslims in the past contributed immensely to economic development of Nigeria in terms of income generation, business outputs, job creation, and private sector endeavor, as well as wealth distribution or wealth redistribution, because these are the microeconomic indicators of economic development, economic well-being, and high living standards. Income generation. How much is your income as a person, personal income? 2, business output. How much have you been able to sell and invest in order to grow your business and employ labor. 3, job creation in terms of you providing employment to people through your business ventures. And finally, wealth redistribution. How much have you been able to save, invest, grow, manage, and then help others in addition to helping yourself and your family? These important indicators of economic well-being and economic development, history has it that Muslims have contributed immensely to it in Nigeria. Today, going by the common measures and indicators of economic development, contribution of Muslims, particularly from North, is very little. This is the sad reality. And the earlier we wake up from our slumber, the better for us. Muslims today contribute very little, particularly Muslims from northern Nigeria, to the issue of business output, job creation, and of course, wealth redistribution. Available statistics from World Bank, UNDP, and Oxford University OPHI, the International Poverty Index reports, show that in terms of incidence of poverty, low level of formal education, and unemployment, Muslim-dominated states, particularly from the north, are leading. So when you talk about incidence of poverty, you talk about low level of formal education, and you talk about unemployment, then certainly Muslim-dominated states, particularly from the north, are leading in these areas or statistics. We all know from statistics available that some years back we had experiences whereby one state in southeast Nigeria, like Abia or Anambra State, will have more number of students sitting for JAM or WAEC, more number than more than 10 states in northern Nigeria put together. In fact, there was a year, I think in 2009 also, when total number of students who registered for JAM that year from Anambra and Abia, Anambra, one state, Abia, another different state. Just one state out of the two was more than that of the entire northern Nigeria. Of course, these statistics only consider formal education to mean, consider formal education to mean only schools that award certificates. But we know, if we are talking about literacy, literacy is not just about knowing how to speak English or how to write English. It is not restricted to going to a conventional school to learn ABCD, 1, 2, 3, 4, and so on. Quranic schools are also schools and are platforms for learning. People who go through Quranic schools, whether in the name of Sangaya, or even in the name of the Al-Majiri system as we call it, they know how to read and write. And that is what is called learning, and that is what is called literacy. But that will not be enough, especially if you are living in a place or a country whereby competition is very high. It is either you make effort to formalize that system that you are following, so that those that pass through the system will also have certificates, or you encourage people to, in addition to that system, also enroll in the formal system so that they will not be left behind. Based on the popular dictum of Fatihu Shay'in La Yu'bihi, you cannot give what you do not have. Muslims' contribution to Nigeria's economic development is nothing to talk about as we speak. The point is, where did we get it wrong? Where did we get it wrong? Because if in the past, Muslims have contributed immensely to economic development and economic well-being of our dear country, Nigeria. And now we are saying Muslim-dominated states are the epicenter, are the capital of poverty, based on the indices we're talking about. The question would be, where did we get it wrong? What happened? What are the challenges? In my opinion, there are a number of challenges, but 5 stand out. And these 5 are encapsulated in one syndrome, and that is absence of selfless, visionary leadership. Selfless, visionary leadership. This problem is not for Muslims alone, but it seems the Muslims so far move when it comes to the problem of absence of selfless, visionary leadership. You may not have the kind of leadership you want to have at the federal level. You may not also have it at regional level or even state level. But at community level, people should be able to mobilize themselves and come up with strategies, implementable strategies that will help in combating poverty. And we know this is missing in many Muslim communities. Not only in North or in the North, but also in Western Nigeria. You hardly can compare the activities going on in, for example, some churches with the activities of maybe poverty eradication, poverty alleviation, support for, downtrodden, support for less privileged members. You can't compare. In reality, you cannot compare. And it is not because Muslims do not have people who are rich and wealthy. It is not so. But we that live in the North always make reference to the effort you are making here in Southwest. But even in Southwest, I said, and I want to repeat, that you cannot compare what is going on here and the center very similar to this that belong to our Christian brothers, for example. Then what more of the North? Where you go to many places, including Masajid, Jumu'ah Mosque, and you will not find any single source of income generating project there. So they rely on sadaqah, fisabilillah, everything to run the affairs of the Muslims. They have committees for orphan, widow, and so on, but hardly you see any activity going on. Because what you say in line with me, you cannot give what you don't have. At-takaful al-ijtimai is almost absent completely in Muslim communities. Absent or near absent in Muslim communities. So this absence of selfless visionary leadership, because we have our politicians, the governor, for example, minister from each every state. We have members of the House of Rep, we have members of the House of Assembly, we have members of State Assembly, we have commissioners, we have governor, we have councillors, we have local government chairmen, we have traditional leaders, we have the reputable, very popular, well-known scholars, we have well-to-do members of society, businessmen, and so on. They are all among us. So even if at the center, at the governance level, we did not get what we want, at least we are expected to come up with strategies that will help us take care of some of our basic needs. Unfortunately, this is absent due to absence of selfless, visionary leadership. Building on this, I was able to identify 5 challenges facing Nigerian Muslims. 1, desire for quick money. Desire for quick money. And refusal to accept new ways of wealth creation and wealth management. This is a very big challenge for our community and for our society. Many of our youth today are busy thinking about how to make quick money. Quick money. They just want to have money by hook or by crook, by permission or by permission. They want to be rich. They want to be there. They want to belong. They want to live the life of X and Y. This desire for quick money has led many into fraudulent business activities, internet scamming, Yahoo boyism, fake businesses like multi-level marketing and so on. Some have money or have what to do to generate money, but have refused to accept new ways of wealth creation. In 2008 or 2009, we conducted a training for business communities in the 3 geopolitical zones of Kaduna State. But I want to make reference specifically to the one we held for Zone 1 or Zone A in Zaria. I remember that day when I was making my presentation, and even after my presentation, when others were making their presentations, we tried to simplify everything. It was about business skills, knowing new ways of making money and so on. Our own people, I mean Muslims, were busy making calls and answering calls throughout the session. Whereas our Igbo brothers were busy taking notes of what we were doing. I remember this. Our Igbo brothers were busy taking notes, jotting important points from the presentations. But our own people were busy making and receiving calls. They did not give their attention at all, almost throughout the sessions. If you go to any market and then take sample, you will realize that more than 70% of all the businessmen in any market you go, for example, in the north, and maybe to some extent even southwest, they will not have record of their sales, daily sales. Ask them, how much sale did you make today? If it is today, ask them the sale they made yesterday. Many of them will not know. They don't know. They keep no record. They keep no record. Why? Because they are still unable to differentiate between their businesses and themselves. They're supposed to see the business as something separate, while they are only employees of the business. Although they own the business, but they should see themselves as employees of the business. Up to today, some of them will tell you they prefer to travel with their cash to their business partner to buy goods. Many of them will tell you that they don't believe in transferring money using their telephone. Although some of them don't know how to use it, but even those that know how to use it, some of them will tell you, no, we will not do that. So new ways of wealth creation and wealth management, people don't do. There is lack of knowledge. And in some cases, people have money, but they don't know how to invest and where to invest. How to invest or where to invest. Some will keep their money in bank accounts and will be there for years, accruing nothing. Instead of them to invest, for example, non-interest financial institutions have a window for investments on either Mudaraba savings account or on the basis of Mudaraba term deposits. They can also invest in shares. You have shares that are still available and you can trade. You can buy. You can even sell when you need money or when you feel the share, the price has gone up. You can sell or divest your investments. Federal government has rolled stock, and there are now corporate stocks, or at least some corporate stocks are in the pipeline. People can invest. It would actually help you generate income, and your capital is still there. So this ways, new ways of creating wealth and managing wealth, a good number of Muslims don't seem to be aware. And because of this, you now see that there is minimal participation in private sector and industrialization among Muslims. Private sector participation and industrialization. It is true, electricity is a problem in Nigeria, a very big one. And because of the problem of electricity, many of our industries have actually collapsed. But even with that, we come to Lagos, some parts of Lagos, we see big companies and industries. We go to Abia, we see same. We go to Anambra, we see same. We go to Imo, we see. We go to Port Harcourt, that's River State, we also see some industries. What happened to industries in other parts of the country? Why do they allow the industries to die? Are we not living in the same Nigeria where electricity was a problem? It's the same thing. So how are they able to sustain the pressure? Leave Lagos alone, because a lot of government funds have been extended in the past to develop Lagos. But what about Oyo State? You go there, you see a lot of industries. What about Ogun? Well, for Oyo, we can say, yes, maybe it's a Muslim-dominated state, even though still some non-Muslims are contesting. But it's a Muslim-dominated state, no doubt. But even the Christian-dominated states in Southwest, we have some industries. How are they able to manage it? But go to states as big as Kano, with well over 10 million population. How many industries will you find? What happened? Why did we allow these industries to die? Why did we allow these companies to close down and leave Kano? Sharada, Bombay. What happened to these industries? And Kano, don't forget, is 97 to 98% Muslim population. So if you have 10 million, at least 10 million population, you know that about 9.8 million is Muslim population. So what happened? If you go to Kaduna State, Kaduna South, industrial, layout, you have the south. In Zaria, you have Chikadi industrial estates, and so on. And these industries are not there. These companies have closed down. And in Kaduna, of course, no matter what, you can safely and comfortably say about 65% of the population is Muslim. So what happened? So if in these two states that are supposed to have some of these industries around, you still have problem of industrialization and private sector participation. What more of other states? Do you expect same? Do you expect to see anything to talk about in your other state or in some other states? You will not see. Even in Plateau State, most of the companies are not there. They have closed, they have left. So this is challenge number one. Desire for quick money and refusal to accept new ways of wealth creation and wealth management. Number two, refusal to embrace formal education. Formal education and absence of relevant skills acquisition centers. The reality on ground is that we cannot run away from the need for us to embrace formal education. When I say formal education, I don't necessarily mean conventional education, where you just go and read English, mathematics. That's not the only one. But even Islamic education, make it formal. Like the Islamia schools, of course they are formal because we award certificate. The only thing is that they are not actually recognized by government because we failed to affiliate them to ministries of education. Our private schools are supposed to become more formal. We are supposed to register them and make them formal, so that when we give certificate, it will be recognized. and will be employed. You would have someone who is holy in Quran by status. He can recite the Quran, he can even write it. He can recite it using different patterns of recitation, and yet, when he applied for primary school teaching, he will not get employed. They will say because he does not have any certificates. Do we allow this to continue? Why don't we strive to see that we formalize this system? This Zambia system. Sudan has perfected this a long time ago. Sudan has perfected it. This Zambia system, they actually recognize it because they have a system whereby it is integrated. You can integrate it. In Malaysia, they did that. So why is it that in Nigeria we are not even doing that? So we have refused to embrace formal education, and there is absence of relevant skills acquisition centers in Muslim-dominated states. I am from Zaria, Kaduna State. I don't know much about what is happening within government side. But I doubt much if there is any government on skill acquisition center in my local government. I doubt much. With the kind of hard time we are witnessing and passing through, what will help us more is these skills acquisition centers, whereby people will be trained on various skills of their choice, where they can excel. It's not necessary for every one of us to have a degree. That is an archaic way of thinking about development. The Bill Gates of the world, how many degrees do they have? So there are some who naturally are good in reading. So let them go and read and continue to read, become professors if they want. No problem. But there are others who are better in hands-on. They want to use their hands, do something. So theirs is to be trained on relevant skills. So this absence of relevant skills acquisition centers is one of the challenges of Nigerian Muslims. Do we continue to wait for government to provide all of this for us? Certainly no. If we do that, we will be deceiving ourselves. Because other people in the same country are excelling without government intervention or with very minimal government intervention. Why should we wait? 3, social menace is one of the challenges, economic challenges of Nigerian Muslims. Social menace. Begging. Overdependence. In a family, once you have one person who is working and probably earning good salary, unless care is taken, his younger ones will relax. Even if you pay their school fees, they will not read. They will fail and will withdraw. Because they have someone who pays for their bills. He pays for their bills. This habit of over-dependence, I know, is African in nature. But it shouldn't be part of what is known to us or what can be associated with us. Because we know Islam does not accept this. So we should be among the set of people who will be far, far away from this mental makeup. Unfortunately, that is not what we see. Substance abuse. In the past, it used to be Edo State leading in substance abuse. Then Lagos State. But as it stands now, many of Muslim-dominated states are now trying to take the lead in substance abuse. It may shock some of you to know that as far back as 2008, a study revealed that on daily basis, about 2 million bottles of cough syrup were being consumed in Kano State alone. 2008. What for? Daily basis, so it means every day Kanawa will have cough and they will get cough syrup every day. Problem of thuggery. So we have talks, political talks, talks within traditional institutions, and so on. Gangsterism. Now the endeavor, and Kali, and this and that. All of them having nothing to do to actually make a living, but just to cause harm and havoc in society. Number 4, absence of takaful. التكافل الاجتماعي. Absence of التكافل الاجتماعي is another big challenge facing Nigerian Muslims. You have a scholar, for example, an imam leading prayers, conducting ta'aleem, sacrificing everything he has for the ummah. And yet, the day he dies, that's the end of his family. Because after some time, he will be asked to vacate the house. After all, the house belonged to the Masjid for the Islamic Center. His children will stop going to school. His wife, a poor widow, will live the rest of her life in abject poverty and so on. Next time, another imam will come. Someone would be a neighbor, he is working, and that he has so many dependents. And because there is no system of at-takaful al-ijtimai, social insurance, on the basis of وَتَعَاوَنُوا عَلَى الْبِرِّ وَالتَّقْوَى وَلَا تَعَاوَنُوا عَلَى الْإِثْمِ وَالْعُدْوَانِ. On the basis of the practice of the Ash'ariyun, the clan of Abu Musa al-Ash'ari radiyallahu anhu. In Sahih al-Bukhari, we are told that the clan of Abu Musa al-Ash'ari had a very, very unique system of solidarity, social solidarity. Whenever they noticed that foodstuffs of members of their clan is actually finishing, is about to be exhausted, they will announce all members of the clan will come out with whatever they have. Maybe one of them may have 10 bags of wheat, another may have only a half bag of wheat, another may even have 1 mood of wheat. They will all bring out what they have and put it in one place and share it equally among themselves. That was the clan of Abu Musa al-Ash'ari radiallahu anhu. التكافل الاجتماعي, social solidarity, to provide social insurance, to support one another. Because the similitude of the believers in their love for one another, support for one another, and care is like a single body. A single body. It is also like a building with 4 corners. So they care for one another. That's how the believers should be. والذين تبوأوا الدار والإيمان من قبلهم يحبون من هاجر إليهم ولا يجدون في صدورهم قلوب في صدورهم حاجة لما أوتوا ويؤثرون على أنفسهم ولو كان بهم خصاصة. So this absence of takaful and robust social security system is another problem, another challenge that is facing Nigerian Muslims. Number 5, insecurity. This is also a very big challenge. Of course, it's a national problem, but it is more in Muslim-dominated states. As we speak today, if you go to the north, we all know that in the north, conservatively, we can safely say that about 75% of the entire north is Muslim population. Conservatively. But I can argue that the population is more than that. Because in all northeast states, Muslim has not less than 60% on average. But there are states where you can find up to 90%, like Yobe. In fact, 95% in Yobe is Muslim population. In Adamawa, you can have up to 70. In Borno, you can have up to 70, 75. Or more than that. In Borno, at least 65. In Bauchi, at least 65. In Taraba, maybe 60. When you go to Northwest, Kano is 98-99% of Muslim population. Jigawa, almost the same thing. Katsina, maybe 85 to 90%. Sokoto, around 90%. Zamfara, almost 97%. Kaduna, about 60 to 65%. Not central. Okay, we talk about Kevin, maybe around 65 to 70%. It is more than that, but let's put it at 70. When you go to North Central, you have Niger, almost 70% Muslim population, if not more than that. Kwara States, I don't know, but maybe 65%. Kogi, almost 65%. Nasarawa, almost 65 to 70%. Benue, that is where maybe you have only 30 or less than 30% Muslim population. Then the only states will announce, the only states. Because even plateau is contestable. Many people argue that the least we can talk about is 50-50. But let's, for the sake of argument, put it at 40%. So when you average all the states and the population, you will have not less than 80 or 75% on the average, when you average everything. And there is no states in these places I mentioned, or these places I mentioned, that they don't have one type of insecurity all over. Except to some extent, Gombe and Bauchi, they seem to be most peaceful in that area. And then when you come to Kogi and Par, these are the most peaceful states now. Relatively, Adamawa is better compared to Borno and Yobe. But Taraba, Farmers Header, ethno-religious crisis is there. Plateau, the same thing. Benue, the same thing. Niger, banditry. Kebbi, banditry. Sokoto, banditry. Zamfara, epicenter of banditry. Katsina, epicenter of banditry. Kaduna, epicenter of banditry and ethno-religious crisis. Kano is relatively peaceful. But still, it has its own share now. It has been recording its share of banditry. So you find that the entire North, by North here I mean Muslim-dominated states, is split with insecurity. When you come to the South, the same thing. Most of the states that are dominated by Muslims, they have their problem of insecurity, especially cultism and some extent banditry, and in some places ethno-religious crisis. Even though ethno-religious crisis is not very, very visible here, but communal clashes, inter and intra-ethnic crisis. So this insecurity is actually seriously affecting the economy of Muslims, because it is preventing or limiting people's efforts and horizon. For example, in some states like Zamfara, Katsina, Kaduna, Kebbi, and Niger, many people are not going to farm. In Yobe, in Borno, there are many people who have abandoned their farms. They cannot dare go because they have to be careful. So these are some of the challenges that Nigerian Muslims are facing. Now, what is the way forward? Well, we cannot be talking about, we cannot talk about challenges and then just go away. What is the way forward? As for the way forward, one, we need to understand the drivers of poverty. Because understanding the problem, the symptom, is a step towards prescribing solution. If you go to see a doctor in the hospital, you will try to diagnose your problem first. Understand before you give prescription. So understanding the problem is a step forward towards solving the problem. So we need to understand the drivers of poverty, which include concentration of wealth in the hands of few, not only in Nigeria or in Muslim-dominated states, but generally in the world. There is over-concentration of wealth in the hands of few, which negates the spirit of wealth distribution. In the US, for example, as of 2007, it was documented that 20% of the population owned 85% of wealth in the US. 85% of the entire wealth in the US was owned by only 20%, while the bottom 80% held only 50%. actually warned us and cautioned us against over-concentration of wealth in the hands of few. كيلا يكون دولة بين الأغنياء منكم. It shouldn't be concentrated. It should exchange hands. And that is why it is not good for people to just keep money without investing. It is injurious. Another reason, another driver of poverty is diverting money from its basic function of acting as a medium of exchange. When people divert money from its basic function of serving as a medium of exchange and making itself an object of trade, then there will be poverty in the land. When you take your money to a conventional bank and place it in a fixed deposit account, it will generate interest. This interest is going to you alone. The money is fixed, even though the bank is at liberty to use it. But then, none of the people around you, the owner of that fixed deposit, will enjoy anything from that money. The little interest you get, you will use it yourself, or on yourself and maybe your family. That's all. That 10 million naira, that 50 million naira, that 100 million naira, that 500 million naira, assuming you establish a business, get the necessary training, employ people whom you think are trustworthy enough to be given the opportunity to manage the business. It will help employ 10, 15, 20, or even 50 people. That is better than to keep the money in one place or box it, put it in boxes, in safe, and lock it. Whenever Muslim community or Muslims decide to divert money from its basic function of acting as a medium of exchange and making money itself as an object of trade, then definitely poverty, assalamu alaikum. Poverty will just say assalamu alaikum. Yeah. Because Al-Hasan al-Basri, rahimahullah ta'ala, has noticed that money is such a companion of yours. Money is a companion of yours that it does not benefit you unless it leaves you. It has no benefit. So if you keep it in the boxes, if you keep it in the safe, it will not benefit you until it leaves your hand. By you buying something for consumption or for investment, or by you investing in something. That's when it benefits you. Another driver of poverty is riba. Riba is another driver of poverty because it prevents people from undertaking real economic activities. When people are enjoying riba, hardly will they undertake real economic activities, and thus causes widespread poverty. You remember the hadith of Ibn Majah, in which the Prophet ﷺ said, "Al-riba, wa in kasura, fa inna akibatahu tasiru ila kulli." Riba, even if it is much, the consequence is it will lead to poverty. So the more riba you take, the more poverty you are spreading, you are causing to the community, to the society. We also know that riba wealth does not receive blessings or increase from Allah. يَمْحَقُ اللَّهُ الرِّبَا وَيُرْبِي الصَّدَقَاتِ. So Allah takes away blessings, His blessings from riba wealth. وَمَا آتَيْتُم مِّن رِّبًا ليربوا في أموال الناس ولا يربوا عند الله وما آتيتم من زكاة تريدون وجه الله فأولئك هم المضعفون. Instead, it destroys it completely. And wage war against those who deal in riba. فإن لم تفعلوا فأذنوا بحرب من الله ورسوله. Another driver of poverty is fake businesses and speculation in stock markets. Fake businesses. You remember the problem of this inflation when it came. People were deceived into believing that their money, their investment of say 10,000, 50,000 will just skyrocket in 1 month to 1 million or more than that. I don't think even the Dangotes of Nigeria will boast of saying if I spend or invest 50,000 naira today, after 1 week, I will get 1 million naira. I don't think he will say that. But people were deceived into believing that that was possible with inflation. Many brothers and sisters, including married sisters or married women, Muslim women, are into network marketing or multi-level marketing. Why? Because they believe they can make money quickly, cheap money. Because it is not dependent on how much effort you make in training, but how much effort you make in trying to convince other people to join the scheme. So it is pyramids. When you are introduced to the scheme, you register with 5,000 naira or 10,000 naira. You collect some product that you may not even use because you have no need for it, and you are not going there because of the product, but because of the status of being an agent. You market, you convince your friends and your relations, 5 of them, to join the scheme, and you get some points. When each of the 5 you introduce afterward another 5, you are also entitled to a share. The first effort, no problem. When you bring 5, you have deserved whatever is given to you. You deserve what is given to you because it is a personal effort. But when these 5, each of them labor, sweat to get 5 each, what role have you played? What contribution have you made? Yet you are entitled. When the second stage of the first 5, the second stage of the 5, that is 25. Now, get 5, totally 75. You are still entitled to 1. So like that. So one will just be, punching his cell phone, and that was all. He will not do anything, take no risk, nothing. And you get money, quick money. Even cryptocurrency. Many people go into it because it is quick. It's a quick way of making money. They say it is quick way, sharp. Now, and you're done. This has negated necessary ingredient of a genuine sell in terms of ownership, risk, control, and transparency. Another driver of poverty is sinning. Committing sin. Because Abdullah ibn Abbas radiallahu anhu was reported to have said, إِنَّ لِلسَّيِّئَةِ سَوَادًا فِي الْوَجْهِ وَظُلْمَةً فِي الْقَلْبِ وَوَهْنًا فِي الْبَدَنِ وَنَقْصًا فِي الرِّزْقِ وَبُغْضَةً فِي قُلُوبِ الْخَلْقِ. That sinning cause blackness, darkness in the face. blackness, black point, black dot in the face. Darkness in the heart. Weakness in the body. Reduction in wealth. And enmity in the hearts of Allah's creation. Another driver of poverty is wastefulness. Tabdil, wastefulness. Ibadatul mal. People waste money anyhow. Go to our weddings, Muslim weddings, and you will be surprised to see what is being spent. People will be throwing money in hard currency when their neighbors are hungry. Certainly is one of the causes, one of the drivers of poverty in our community. ولا تبذر تبذيرا إن المبذرين كانوا إخوان الشياطين وكان الشيطان ربه كفورا. Corruption in marketplace is another driver of poverty. Corruption. Because the Prophet ﷺ said, as transmitted by Imam Ibn Majah, ولم ينقص المكيال والميزان إلا أخذوا بالسنين وشدة المعونة. So if people now decide to actually introduce corruption in marketplace, then that will lead to poverty. So understanding these drivers of poverty is important because it will help you, it will help us as Muslim community, as Nigerian Muslims, know the causes of the problem. Diagnose the elements. Way forward, number 2, acquisition of sound education in any chosen area of universal physical and material sciences. Or acquisition of relevant skills that will be used, that we can use to economically support ourselves, our family, and society. This is also very important. Number 3, upholding true values and morals in the use of skills. Because if you want to receive Allah's blessing, you have to uphold true values and morals in the use of your skills, your strength, your creativity, and your imaginations. Number 4, firm belief that Allah is the owner of all wealth and humans are merely His trustees. They are the trustees of wealth. The wealth belongs to Allah. وَآتُوا مِمَّا لِلَّهِ الَّذِي آتَاكُمْ. So wealth belongs to Allah. You are only a trustee, which means you must utilize it in accordance with what Allah says. Allah says, وَالَّذِينَ فِي أَمْوَالِهِمْ حَقٌّ مَعْلُومٌ لِلسَّائِلِ وَالْمَحْرُومِ وَأَنْفِقُوا مِمَّا جَعَلَكُمْ مُسْتَخْلَفِينَ فِيهِ. So you have just been given the opportunity to have it. It's just an opportunity. You are not the strongest, you are not as strong as that downtrodden man. You are not. You are not as intelligent as that dropout. You are not. So what happened? Allah's favor, Allah's mercy, Allah's blessings. 5. Material pursuits of one's economic activities and pursuit of wealth should be balanced with spiritual aspects of life. Because knowing or making balance, striking a balance between your endeavor, your pursuit for wealth, and spiritual aspects of life will help you become patient, perseverant, and also contented. Working towards getting selfless, visionary, and productive leadership is another way for honesty. And lastly, actively participating in the promotion and implementation of Islamic perspectives of social security system at all levels. Level of individual level, family level, community level, and state level. You should be seen participating, advocating for social security system, social solidarity, collective solidarity, so that التكافل الاجتماعي will help in combating poverty and alleviating the economic hardship of our Muslim brothers and sisters. Brothers and sisters in Islam, it is important to remember that whatever we do, we shall be held accountable on the day of Qiyamah. Whatever Allah has blessed us with, Allah will hold us accountable. ثم لتسألن يومئذ عن النعيم. It is important that we reflect over these challenges, and we suggested points on the way forward to see where we can come in, how we can do it, and what we need to do in order to reduce the incidence of poverty among Nigerian Muslims, and also to chart the course that will help us go above or live above what is called the poverty line, or the minimum amount that we should have per day. Of course, it's not possible to say everyone must be rich. No, it's not possible. But at least people should be able to feed. People should be able to have food on their table. And we can only do that when we come together and establish formidable systems of takaful, of what zakah, collection and distribution, and of waqf or awqaf. That way, inshallah, we'll be able to solve some of these problems. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala strengthen our iman and help us solve the problem of the Muslims in Nigeria and by extension in the world. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make us among those who He will use to bring succor to the Ummah and also help in addressing the economic challenges. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.
MashaAllah, Ya Sheikh. This is really very rich. May Allah give us knowledge and we benefit from what we have had with the Sheikh. We have a question and answer session, even though we are running against time. As do it's all going to.
Yeah, Assalamu alaikum. Thank you very much. It's been I think it's an hour plus, very insightful. It took us through very deep statistics of Muslims, where we stand in the scheme of things in the world, in Nigeria. He read out several percentages, how more than the world population, half of the world population is under poverty. He talked about Nigeria. He now dived into all the challenges we have, absence of selfless visionary leadership, desire for quick money, refusal to learn ways of making money, new ways of wealth creation, minimal participation in private sector and industrialization, refusal to embrace formal education and relevant skills acquisition. I mean, he said several things that are very, very, very insightful. He also talked of unemployment, incidence of poverty, low level of formal education. Then he went to profile a way for understanding the drivers of poverty, those that drives poverty, diversion of money from what it's actually meant for, wastefulness, corruption. He talked of acquisition of relevant skills property, upholding true values and morals in the use of skills. Then balance. Some believe that Allah is the owner of wealth, and we are just trusting. Then material pursuit of that we should pursue wealth, and we should also balance with that spiritual well-being. Then he also talked about actively participating in advocating, social security, social solidarity, and this is just few of what he has lectured us this afternoon. May Allah bless him. Before the vote of thanks, we have several questions. Both we are live on Zoom. A lot of questions on Zoom. I don't think we can pick all of them from the chat box. But for those of us who are here, there are questions that are still coming. I don't know how we're going to handle it. It's time, we are past time of Zohor. But we'll just take a couple of days. Then maybe after Zohor, the Imam is here with us. The Prof is here, Professor is here with us till Zohor, till Asr. And we'll be leaving after Asr, so you will attend to some of the questions. But if I'm permitted, I will take like one or two, and then we will now do our vote of thanks and do our Zohor prayer. I'm picking randomly, please. So I would like the Prof to advise on way by
I would like the Prof to advise on ways whereby Islamic centers will engage in income generation and I think creation of employment. This is the first question. Actually, are we taking or just okay? What is the ruling on Bitcoin? That is the currency, I think. What is the maximum profit you can make in a business? But this is the Sheikh will look at it and give us the answer to this. I think this three can start before we do Zuhur, then we'll continue thereafter.
I will recommend a book written by Sheikh Dr. Yusuf Al-Kardawi on masjids. He wrote a book on masjid. In that book, he emphasized the need for any masjids that would actually fulfill the role of a masjid to have what he called murafaqat, meaning things that would support it, one of which is having either shops if the land is available and permission is actually obtained, so that those shops can be given out to people who want to rent them, and the mosque will be getting income. Another way is to have a shop and put something there to be selling, maybe some kind of a trading shop where commodities will be sold. And you get someone employed, a sales assistant or sales attendant who will be selling, and you have mechanism for check and balance. Within the committee of the masjid, you can have someone who understands the nitty-gritty of business or sales, and who would now be charging the responsibility of supervising. A mosque can also have a school that can bring income, in addition to the normal Islamic school that doesn't bring income. In most cases, it's difficult to pay teachers from the fees, because many people, when you say this is Islamia, they feel it is something that should be free of charge. But you can also, in addition to that, have a special class. Even if you leave it in the name of Islamia, you can open specialized sessions or specialized lessons, special lessons that you can charge those who can afford it. When you have general Islamia for everyone, you can also have special class for people who can afford it. And you get the right caliber of people to teach. And that can also give income. In some places, like South, particularly going by my experience in Port Harcourt, borehole is another source of income to Islamic centers. Because water is difficult, clean water is difficult to get there in most parts of Port Harcourt. So therefore, people rely on boreholes. And since not everyone will be able to drill a borehole, so they come to the mosque and a stipend, little amount is charged per bucket. And I like play, you see that the mosque is making money from us. Also, these public toilets. In some places, that's what they do to generate income. Public toilets. But this also is subject to availability of land and whether permission will be given. So within the vicinity of the mosque, you can have a place where you have public toilets. You have people who are here as empty land, as they have been called, and they need somewhere to go and bath, to go and ease themselves. So you charge little amount that is affordable. But when you manage it very well and you have good monitoring mechanism, you will be surprised what that will generate. There are a lot of other things that can be done to generate income. Whatever is important is to have the structures. And before you put the structures, think about it and then agree on what to do. Because planning is very essential in this kind of things. On the issue of Bitcoin, I mentioned it the day before yesterday. Generally, cryptocurrency, the position as it is now, is that two opinions are popular. Opinion number one is that it is permissible and people can trade it. Because it's a form of money and people, some companies, some countries are beginning to accept it. They said acceptability is the most important quality or characteristics of money. So therefore, since it has been accepted, no problem. They base their argument on a statement made by Al-Imam Malik in Muwatta, where he said if people would actually recognize and accept skin, hide and skin, if they can accept skin of animal skin, as a means or as a medium of exchange, then I would say it is not good for them to deal in that. Meaning, to Imam Malik, anything that people recognize and accept as means or medium of exchange, it is called money. And this opinion has been supported by the likes of Ibn Taymiyyah and Ibn al-Qayyim, because they all say in some of their writings that gold and silver are not important because they are gold and silver, but because they are medium of exchange. They are considered as medium of exchange. So a thamaniya is the most important thing, that they are considered, they are generally recognized and accepted as medium of exchange, gold and silver. They do not have any merit. They have no fadala, except that they serve as medium of exchange. That's all. So on the basis of this, they said it is permissible to deal in Bitcoin and all other, and all offshoots of cryptocurrency. They said also the issue of absence of legal tender for aid is not important because scholars didn't insist that for something to be called money, it must enjoy the status of legal tender. That is one group. The second group is of the opinion that Bitcoin or cryptocurrency is not permissible. And the main point of argument for them is that it has no legal tender status. And as it is today, it is not regulated. And if it is not regulated, And we know the principle of دفع المفسدة مقدم على جلب المنفعة, and the principle of سد الذريعة. If people should be allowed to trade in Bitcoin and so on, it will lead to a lot of disaster, financial disaster. Because since it's not regulated, no one will give anything or say what should be done and what should not be done. As it is now, I think only 2 countries, I think Japan and one other country recognize cryptocurrency. And even these 2 countries, their own central bank did not regulate it, or is not regulating it. Of course, there are some multinational corporations that are accepting Bitcoin as a medium of exchange. You can buy things from them. There are some companies now in different countries, including Europe, that accept Bitcoin. But because it has no regulation, then scholars say, on the basis of the prohibition to waste money, since there are the tendency of wasting money, since that it is not regulated, Muslims are not to go into it. They also say the idea of legal tender is for uniformity and also to solve the problem or to address the problem of unnecessary disputes. In the event of disputes, who do you meet? Which court do you take your case to? There will be no arbiter. Nobody will serve as an arbiter because it has not been sanctioned. I mean, it is not recognized by government. And in Nigeria in particular, we all woke up one day and read from CBN that it is cautioning us against cryptocurrency. So if the regulator that is supposed to regulate the activities of crypto will not be the one to issue warning against it, then you know that it's problem. So many committees of scholars, committees of fatwa across the globe, many are of the view that crypto is not permissible. And if we are to take statistics, we can say that on the basis of statistics, definitely more than 80% of the scholars and committees of fatwa that have actually covered the subject matter of cryptocurrency are of the view that it's not permissible. But as I said, there is a group that see it and consider it as permissible. And we cannot dismiss also their arguments. For me, I'm in the second group. I still consider crypto as something questionable and still am not comfortable with it. But I will not come out outrightly and say people must not go into it. But I will warn them because I consider the evidence of those who are against it to be stronger and more preferred to other arguments. There is a third question now. Well, the essence of crypto generally is to make quick money. Honestly, that's just the essence, to make quick money. And in the course of making quick money, so many things are missed. For example, the sender of the money, his identity will not be known. The receiver's identity will also not be known because it is based on certain algorithms that are computer-based, and it is a product of mining. And you will not know who has it. I mean, when you are transacting with Bitcoin, even if you are selling, you are buying something with Bitcoin, the receiver will not